Hi there Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video, and welcome to episode 3 of Finish the 96. In this series I take a look at all of the original Kenner figures and card backs that are yet to be released in the modern vintage collection. If you are new or have missed the previous 2 episodes, I've put them in their own little playlist on the channel, and I recommend watching those 2 videos first, as I do explain a little bit more about the history of the 96 and which figures are included. But if you have already seen the first 2 episodes, then you know what it's all about. Each week I go through 5 figures which still haven't been made. So before we get started, if you would be so kind to click the thumbs up button to show you're enjoying the series, and that should hopefully help the video reach more people. Okay, so with all that being said, last week we ended on a Manaman. So next on the list is Lumat, Yakface, Endor Leia, Klaatu Skiffguard, Wicket, and the recently announced Bib Fortuna, which we've already got in the vintage collection. And as requested by a viewer, here are all of those figures as released in the vintage collection with their card backs. Bib Fortuna is due to ship at the end of 2021, early 2022. So next on the list is the Rancor Keeper, or Malakili as he is now known. This would be a very easy one for Hasbro to do, as it would be a simple repack of the figure released in the Legacy collection. Presuming they still have the molds, all the figure would need is the photo real deco. Another figure needed for the Jabba's Palace playset, and would complement Bib Fortuna very nicely as well. While Hasbro are at it, why not also repack Jiran from the Legacy collection, one of my favourite figures, and although this is not from the 96, he is good enough for the vintage collection, and you do kind of need him to go with Malakili. Next up on the list for another bunch that we already have, we have Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, the recently released ATST Driver, the soon to be released Emperor, who will be numbered VC200 in the line, the Emperor's Royal Guard, which was recently re-released, Klaatu, or Woof as he is now called, great figure by the way, Leia Bouche, Nikto, the B-Wing pilot, and Tebow, who is set to be released in the same wave as the Emperor. So all of those are released or due to be released. So we move on to Squid Head, another one of the aliens found in Jabba's Palace. Squid Head, or Tessek, was last released in the Power of the Jedi line in 2001. The figure itself is in desperate need of an update, and of course we need that classic card back in the line. Squid Head is another one that I've been calling for a very long time, and going by how good Bib Fortuna looks, just imagine how good they could make Squid Head. With a mix of soft and hard goods with a killer head sculpt, I really do think that Hasbro could do this classic figure justice. So come on Hasbro, you know what to do. Now the artwork that I'm using, provided by Red 5 Designs, doesn't quite match up to the order of the figures on a 92 back Kenner card back. For a start, it includes all of the 96. So EV99 is next in line, but we did talk about her in episode 1. So we move on to the TIE Fighter pilot. Now many of you may think that this one has already been done in the vintage collection, but the fact is we only ever had him on a Return of the Jedi card back, and also the Revenge variant. When Hasbro recently reissued him, they chose not to update to the ESB card back, keeping him on that Return of the Jedi card back. The figure itself is seriously outdated with no ankle articulation at all. Also, depending on which release you have, the figure is based on an actual character. Now personally I would prefer it if they just gave us a standard TIE Fighter pilot without the various markings on the helmet. So just give us an ordinary TIE Fighter pilot on his debut ESB card back. Moving on to R2-D2 with Sensor Scope. Now this card back was released in the VOTC, or Vintage Original Trilogy collection, back in 2004. The issue we have is that the card back once again displays the Return of the Jedi logo. Back in the Kenner days, this particular card back and figure debuted on an ESB card back. There was also a confusion around the figure itself. The card back displays R2-D2 using his sensor scope that he used on Hoth, whereas the figure comes with something that looks more like the periscope he used in the swamp on Dagobah. So to get this one right, they really need to give us a new R2-D2 with periscope and sensor scope on an Empire Strikes Back card back. If Hasbro want to go further and give the figure other tools such as the chainsaw, then I'm happy for them to do so long as he does have the periscope and the sensor scope. I'm not too bothered. Next on the list we have Admiral Akbar and Lando Skiffguard, which we already do have in the vintage collection. So the final figure for this episode is Chief Chirpa. Probably my least favourite of all of the Kenner Ewoks, this figure was last updated by Hasbro in the 2006 Saga collection. The figure doesn't look too bad, but seriously lacks the detail and articulation of some of the more recent Ewoks, such as Logray, Lumat and the more recent Papalu. Could they potentially repaint one of the other Ewoks? I'm not so sure. Chief Chirpir, certainly from a Kenner figure point of view, is a little on the wider side, shall we say. But whatever they do decide to do regarding the figure, Chief Chirpir is needed to help finish the 96. So that's the next 5 figures covered that are required to finish the 96. Be sure to tune in to next week's episode where I'll be going over the next 5 on the list. I hope you are all enjoying watching the series as much as I am making it. Thank you all so much for watching, and a special thanks to my Patreons and channel members. I appreciate your continued support for the channel. Thank you all very much for watching, and we shall see you on the next one.